All right, there, outliers. How are you, Niiamah? Sean here, and thank you so much for letting me be a part of your journey today. I ended up laughing as we were coming into this conversation because I countdown bringing us into the recording 3, 2, 1, and I plan on jumping in right away with something amazing, connected that just brings everyone in, and also just like fires up our featured guests. And of course, today I did it, and it just didn't turn on. So we're coming from that here. And I love these places of being able to be free, being able to be silly, and not really, it's not even about being silly, but it's really about like not taking yourself too seriously. And I think that's really important here because I know that as outliers and here on outliers, and it's like we're focused on helping game changing leaders and entrepreneurs make their difference in the world, change, like see how they can bring the future of the world that they want to see to life now. And with that, like we can walk into things and feel like we have to carry the weight of it, carry it and hold ourselves in a very serious way, given the nature of what we're working with. And I'm also going to invite us to be able to. I think I heard it best. It's like we do serious things, but we don't take ourselves seriously. And with that here, like I I'm excited for us for the conversation you're going to be listening to today. I'm excited for the conversation I'm about to have. I have none other than our featured outlier, Zach Phillips here. Zach, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for waking up to come be a part of this conversation, and thank you for showing up the way you did.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, early alarm, but we're here. We're
Yeah.
awake. Couple of coffees, let's go.
Yes, yes, indeed, yes, indeed. And I think allies like this to me is what I look at this. Whenever we have this kind of dedication here, um, I I know that you're in for a really, really big treat. And one of my coaches said this before. I used to travel from Singapore to California or like New Mexico or such for some coaching retreats. And he would ask in the room. He'd say like, "Who here flew the furthest?" And at first he used to like people would talk about coming from Australia, New Zealand, so on and so forth. And at first he used to be concerned around like, okay, you just made a huge time investment here. Like, did you get what you wanted? And over time, he realized it's like, oh, that actually doesn't. I don't need to ask that question because you don't fly all
Mm.
the way over here and not get what you wanted. You don't leave that up to the person. You actually make that come to life. And so outliers, I feel that right now with Zach. Like Zach not waking up early, like getting the coffee in here to just have a so-so conversation. It ain't that ain't it. We're
Look,
going all in on this.
if you commit, like how many times have you tried to run a free thing and no one turns up? They all say they're going to, and they're like, yeah, I'm keen, and no one comes because they've not committed to anything of, quote unquote worth. They've just said that they'll come. People put in time, put in money, put in the travel. They are showing up for you. In a coaching context, in a seminar context, in whatever. The free stuff, the stuff without the commitment, people don't come. You know what I mean? They're not fully in. You have to have that buy-in. So yeah, let's buy in.
All right. Yep. I'm moving my chips in right now. You know, Zach, I wanted to start off this conversation here, just bringing us into you. Right? And the way I like to do this is
Sure.
just to share a bit about like how I like who you've been to me so far. Are you good with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. So this is what's coming to me right now in this current moment. There's other things about you here, but it's coming to you in this current moment. Um, the what I get about you, Zach, is that you're someone who is able to take your experiences of life and transform not just yourself but others through it. And in particular, um, it might just come off this way to me, but like even the yeah, let's do it, or the no stress, like you're able like it comes in the way that is um that's very inviting. I think that's it, right? There's a reason why I started talking about the seriousness here. I as time goes on, I recognize I'm like, is my voice jovial still? Like I think about these kinds of things as we have these conversations, and then I enter a space with you, and I realize that like things are good, and like they're really like we actually do got it while we're taking on some big things, while we're taking on some heavy things, while we're carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders, it doesn't necessarily need to be anything that's stressful along the way, you know. So I wanted to say like thank you for being that, right now. There's some areas where I can like actually feel like tension lifted into me. And I want to make sure I reflect that here as we start our conversation. Thank you much.
Just be you. Be
Yeah.
you in this moment. Be serious. If the jovialness goes, that's fine. If it comes back, that's fine. It doesn't matter. Just go with it.
Mm, we're gonna play with that. Y'all gonna hear me lean into it. All of a sudden, you're gonna hear like Niiamah just like it'll be like written like Niiamah gravely says, "So
Yes.
hello," one of those things. All
Look,
right.
it's you touched on something interesting. One of the things I try and do with people is just, hold space. And it's something that I've learned to hold space for myself. Yeah, hold space for myself however I'm showing up. And that's a learned process, accepting yourself. And then you start accepting yourself, you start accepting other people, you accept how people show up, and then people show up authentically. And, just more and more and more, every day it seems to be happening. People are just sharing themselves with me, however they're, the sort of the deeper layers, those deeper things. When I was young, I hated those, for lack of a better expression, sort of small talk conversations. It drove me up the wall. It's like, let's get to the juice. And now I'm finding the juice is just it's just coming. It's like we can squeeze that orange real easy, real quick. And I don't know if that's just I think it's a reflection of my own self-work, my own just I'm okay to show up however I'm showing up. But it's good. It's good for me, it's good for the people around me, and it's good for the world, I think, if everyone could show up as themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, I oh definitely. And Zach, in a bit, I'm gonna ask you to give some context to all outliers here
Yeah.
about like who you are. But let's stay on this track right now because
Mm.
we already know you're amazing. The as you're saying it, what it's making me realize here is you're like the juice is already like squeezed. It's just like it's just all there. You just get straight to it, and it feels really refreshing just to like take a step back and see that like a part of like there was a time where I needed to try to get into deep conversations. It's like
Yeah.
and now it's kind of like there's two things that happen, to be honest. One is my own aura, and two is my own tolerance level. I'm just like I don't suffer boring trite conversations. Now that being said, I am a father of two young kids right now, and like right now, sometimes at the playground, like we cannot get into into the depth that I'm used to. Um, and but I think that's also raised my bar for every other conversation that I have because I'm like, if we're not singing, singing a kid song, then like we should be getting into it, you know.
On the kids thing, I've got two young kids, a 7 and a 3-year-old, and I don't, treat them like an adult, but I treat them with as much maturity as they can handle in the moment. And they sort of go, you kids, they sort of like sometimes they seem like they're an adult and sometimes they seem like they're a toddler, like they amp up and amp down. But I'm finding that if you give them the freedom to sort of be and express and embody that, oftentimes they take it and run with it and surprise you. My partner's reminding me, like, he's 7, right? And I'm like, yeah, I do, but like sometimes they just grab it and run. And I think that's the same with everyone. Some people, not some people, most people, if you just give them that space to just be themselves, it's refreshing. And sort of tying it back to what I'm sort of doing online with myself and this sort of stuff.
Yeah, so
I look the small summary is that I write and share and release books and sort of public profile effectively, sharing my mental health journey. But my sort of in was this was if I can be and present authenticity in a fake-ish online world, people will resonate. And I don't need to appeal to everyone. In fact, I only need to appeal to like say 1% of people. If a million people come across me and 1% of people like me, that's 10,000 people. I think my math works there. Don't quote me on that. But it's, you only need a certain percentage of people to be able to do what we're doing here. You don't need everyone to like you. You don't need the majority to like you. You only need a certain group of people to appreciate what you're doing, to, buy your books, to do your coaching, to get on board the journey, so to speak. And the way you get that is by being authentic, or the way that I get it, I think we all should do is by being authentic because I can't act. I just cannot put on a show for my entire life, if that makes sense, to just
oh
get
yeah.
something. Because then we're just working. Then I'm just in a normal job that's just rather than working for someone else and working for myself. It's like, no, I want to be myself and live and express.
You hear that there, outliers like it's like no, I want to be myself, right, like work not working for yourself but being yourself. I hear that it's like it's a different standard. um Sorry, I'm laughing here because I have moved my mic much closer to my face, and I just feel very much like I'm like in my own insular world. I might have to like take a step back. Um, Zach, I appreciate you. You gave us a little taste of the context of you, and I want to give outliers here a bit more. I found like the conversation I want to have with you is really around, I think, the place that we're already going, which is like, let's just get down into the depth around it. I have found it to be very useful though to give outliers an opportunity to like see like, all right, who is this cat? You know, what's he doing? And because like how is this person a peer of
Totally.
mine? You know, so would you mind just sharing with us, like, you can give us the highlights, you can give us like we have room for people to take up space and share the amazingness that is them. Um, and I, yeah, I appreciate you stepping into that. Just
Sure
share a
thing.
bit about you. All right, tell us about
Yeah,
you.
look,
Tell us about your mission. Give us some context.
so the look, feel free to jump in and take the convo anywhere as we deviate.
All right, cool.
But look, the sales pitch is I help people go from surviving to passionately thriving. You know, giving them tips, tools, and tricks to help them process the past, accept the present, embrace the future with positivity and purpose. That's the little sort of overarching thing, but I got there through that journey myself. I moved out of home at 16. My father was a drug addict, drug dealer, all that sort of stuff. Have you seen Breaking Bad? Do
I
you know
have.
the not we're not talking like Walter White level. You know, like Jesse's cronies, like the guys that are like
Mm,
living in that squalor. It wasn't
yeah.
that bad, but it was close. You know, like
Okay.
it wasn't fun. Um,
Mhm.
um, mum and dad divorced sort of thing. It wasn't safe at my dad's house. It differently unsafe at my mum's house for other reasons, and I had to move out. Got myself through high school, got myself through university, just surviving, just sort of running. And I feel like I've been sort of running ever since. And only just recently am I sort of going, oh my God, I'm in this sort of fight, flight, freeze, fawn, frantic sort of mode. So a lot of what I'm doing initially was an act of just survival, just sort of getting through, just sort of going around and doing, not really sort of following my dreams, but as most people that have gone through trauma, a lot of it is just the realization that this isn't sort of quote unquote normal. It might be my normal, but it's not normal for the world, and there is another way that I can exist and be. Anyway, got through uni. I ended up doing high school teaching. I was a high school teacher, but I didn't really sort of resonate with it. I was too sort of out of the box. I couldn't turn up every day, so I didn't enjoy the full-time load, but also the stuff I wanted to teach didn't align with the stuff that the sort of the department wanted me to teach. I didn't sort of resonate with teaching kids stuff that I didn't find that useful from my lived experience. Like me moving out of home so early didn't seem to gel with learning about a medieval king. It didn't sort of I couldn't see the link. And the kids that would resonate with me were the ones that were also struggling. So then I moved into disability support work, moved into doing a bunch of martial arts, sort of like a lot of sort of skipping around. But eventually I ended up writing a book. I called it Under the Influence Reclaiming My Childhood. And this was my basically sort of self-care, writing all of the trauma, the drama, the embarrassment, the issues that that came up for me as a way of, just healing. And I shared it with a couple of friends and they said, this isn't going to sell well, but people need to see it. And they are certainly right. And it's not going to sell well because if it's an introduction to me, it's here's my trauma. So it's like it's quite intense. But the people that do connect with me and do sort of go back and discover it, like I'm getting sort of messages about it, every so often being like, hey, like you're sharing, like what you're saying is an expression of the inner thoughts that I didn't quite know I could, like they couldn't quite articulate it. So what I've found is that sort of has driven me to then put my inner world out to the actual world because it helps people to see that what's going on in their mind, their lived experience, their sort of running and journey. It's like, okay, like there are other people in my not exactly my situation, but other people with trauma, with abuse, with neglect, with all of these sort of things that I've dealt with are going down this path. And there's a way through. And then from that, it's like, okay, well, I don't want to just do the normal 9 to 5. You find a lot of people, look at any sort of professional, not any, but like a lot of professional sports players, a lot of professional artists, a lot of them come from an adversity sort of background. They've pulled themselves out, and it's like, well, let's not stop at normal. Let's not stop at Like I don't want to just be able to do a teaching job 9 to 5. Like that's not success for me. I couldn't do it when I first started, but I don't want to do it now, if that makes sense. I want to do more. I want to be bigger. I want to have a bigger influence. And that's led me to publishing a bunch of books, to teaching, you know, meditation and self-help and all of this sort of stuff online. And yeah, sort of taking myself where it feels natural, like doing sort of podcasts like this and other different projects, speaking in person. And I don't know, that's sort of like the couple of minutes sort of overview of where I'm at, basically.
Yeah, thank you here, thank you for bringing in this here and going far beyond the sales pitch. All right, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, like everyone has a sales pitch, like you start doing this and everyone has like the catchphrase, but it's all just meaningless words, really. It's all just like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
doing this thing. Anyone can say anything. Any company can tell you their product is good, but it's you got to actually connect and resonate with the person, you
And
know.
and that was it. Like as you were talking, I was like getting that connection. That story was coming through for me, and the choice you made. You used the word normal a number of different times, and that struck me. Is that a part of your platform? Like how does normal fit within your platform? I just need to just check in because it was really
I
present this time.
I think it's a matter of being like normal has it's a loaded word, right?
Mm,
There obviously there really is no normal, but if you trend people and look at populations, there is a statistical normal, right? And you know, school and upbringing and community sort of tells you or give you this sort of vague amorphous sort of thing of what normal is. And we all sort of seem to be trying to get to this normal, but unfortunately, no one ever gets there because there is no normal in real life, right? So I feel like a lot of schooling and a lot of sort of traditional life makes you always sort of feel on the outside, even though to another person you might be normal. So that it is quite a loaded word. And I think, it's like back to what we said earlier, be yourself. Like you are normal if you can just be comfortable in your own self, right? That's your normal. And you will find your tribe, you'll find your people. And that's like that 1% thing. I might, there are aspects to my life that are definitely sort of out there, and sort of different to traditional stuff. But there is a group of people that have that same lifestyle, if that makes sense, that do those same things that are that normal.
yeah. Okay. So you're hitting me with this here. Just so you know, I'm good with abstraction as well as getting down into the practical. So this feels nice. Um, a couple different things came up here when you said like there is no real normal. It took me to this book. It was called The End of Average by Todd Rose, and um, I had read it on suggestion. But one of the biggest things I took from that was that um, they they would create things based on the average. Like they created like a cockpit, like for someone to go flying, based on the average measurements of the people, right? And it turns out that like no one could write it because no one was actually the average, right? It's like no one had the average head span, the average height, the average hands, like that number. There was no person who was that, you
Mm,
know. It is they were all variations of, and it was
100%.
and I think like I was really getting that when you were talking here. It's like we're all variations of it, and then based on the data set that's there, based on who you're around, like you might feel like you're more on the extreme, or you might feel like you're more in the middle. But like there is no actual normal. There is no real place for that to be.
There is none, and beyond that, look at the people. Like just think in your life, personal and also like the famous people, for lack of a better expression, that you like. Yeah, you like them probably because they are more abnormal. They're normal enough that you can sort of get on board, but they've got like a kookiness or a tweak or a quirk or something going on that makes them a little bit special. They're a little bit more extra. They're a little bit something. And this is true in personal life and in, the people we idolize. They're a bit more. Like we sort of want people to be more themselves, more normal to them, more than just the traditional, just the average, because it stands out. There's a specialness to it, a realness to it that I don't know. I want to embrace that in myself, and it's like this perpetual journey. And I want people to embrace that within themselves, because if you've had a troubled past, if you're just striving to be more, even if you've come from like a normal normal home and you just want to be a bit more than just the 9 to 5, you're going to have to do some odd stuff. You're going to have to think outside the box. You're going to have to start, being more.
Yeah. Oh,
If
I love this. You just accidentally opened up a door that I want to go down. A couple different things. Outliers. You're gonna hear the word normal for a bit. It's gonna be like if there's a word cloud right now, like that's gonna be the word that shows up. Um, but I like that. I like that component of being more. I'm gonna come back to it in just a bit. Um, the one of the things that you brought up that struck me was when you were talking about being a teacher and talking about the medieval stories. What I think I was getting from there was like you're like my normal, like my day to day, my normal is not this, and I can't see
Mhm.
how this information applies to it. I feel like that's also like a really wonderful way to look at this here, and I say that because I talk to outliers. It's a made up concept that I have. I know Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book on it, but there's a lot of people out there that talk about outliers in different ways, but it made it up. It's not a real thing. Sorry, outliers. Just giving you a heads up. Like it's not a real thing. It's a thing that we can choose to identify with if it serves us, until it stops serving. But the one of the premises of this is that okay, there's the average here in the middle, and you're somewhere on the outside. Not on the outside, but you're an outlier. You have your results are different from others. But this whole process, everything I do is to be like, but that's actually quite normal. It's just you just may not see that in the context that you're in. You like there may be fewer people who have lived your life experiences, but for those people, this just everything makes sense. Like, oh, you've written multiple books, Zach? Cool. Like
Yeah.
makes sense to me. Oh, you're out there like doing like speaking. Great. I'll see you on the next like at the next gig. Like let me put you in touch with people. It's our normal there. And so I want to
Mm.
bring that in, especially given our audience here. I haven't really talked to y'all. I've talked about y'all as audiences, so like it's an interesting space, and I'm just kind of calibrated into right now. But talking to outliers right now, it's like we live a life of being different than normal, better than normal, whatever it is out there. And I think that the reality is, I think that's why I'm really gravitating to this part of the conversation. There is no normal, and it's always relative. And if you're, I think the last thing I'll say is, if you're ever feeling alone or that you're abnormal or whatever it is, to your point, like there isn't you're not. It's just relative to who's there. And there's another person on this planet, many other people on this planet who are experiencing their version of what you're going through and being like, yep, makes sense to me.
Look, and that logic there is a way to both help give you hope to escape like the mental illness sort of side of things, and also give you hope to thrive and sort of make it. If you're struggling with depression, for example, right? The one of the symptoms is this isn't going to get better, right? That's a like this hopelessness feeling. But if you can sort of logic can help defeat strong emotion, and strong emotion can help defeat cold logic, right? You're like, okay, I have this thing. Other people with this thing have improved. Therefore, I can improve. There's no emotion there. It's just that's like cold logic helping you through. Same thing. It's like, oh, I want to be, a best-selling author, artist, writer, sport, whatever this peak your mountain is. Oh, that's a like you start realizing how long that journey is. You can get disheartened. You can stop. But the same thing, like other people have done this thing, or something close to what I've done, or even more so, people have broken through barriers, been the trailblazers and done something that no one's done before. That logic exists. They figured out a way, therefore I can figure out a way. So knowing that, yeah, you are unique, but other people are unique too, and they've sort of done what you're doing or what you want to be doing, both on the mental health side and also on the thriving side, you're golden. If you can sit with that logic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's see. I think I get you. So, can you do me a favor? Can you find a way to like make this real? Maybe take us to a time in your life where you applied this, or you found yourself having to like use certain aspects of what you just shared. Is there a story or time you can share with us around this?
Dude, my whole life, like let's just be real here. Like I said, moving out of home very early. Yeah, how many stories of people successfully moving out of home have you heard, right? They moved out of home early, then they made it. They made it something, and like the thing skips. I moved out of home early, something happens, now they're doing this amazing thing. Yeah. It's like I
Mhm.
realized like people can get to that space from where I am. So having that hope of like, okay, people can do the thing they want to do, can thrive from moving out of home early. Skip forward, people are struggling with symptoms of anxiety and depression. I was, pretty friggin' low, right? Like real dark. People have survived that. People have gotten through that. That means I can get through it if I do the work. What's the work look like? Okay, well, what do those people do to survive that space? They started meditating, they spoke to therapists, they exercised, they started eating well, they looked into, self-help stuff. Like they did the work, they did these things. So if I do that work, surely it will work for me. So I did the work. Some of it worked, some of it didn't, but I found my own path through. Stepping into more the entrepreneurial space. Okay, what's the way through to get people to recognize and give a shit about what I'm doing? You write a book, no one cares, right? No one cares. Everyone's got a book, everyone's got a podcast, everyone's got this, everyone's got that. Like what makes you special? Okay, well, project, how do people do that? People do that by projecting themselves, by sharing themselves, by being open and honest and vulnerable and putting themselves out there. If I do those things like we're doing here now, someone listening might be like, I'll check out some of his stuff. Like it's sort of like a thing for life. I do martial arts. I'm a purple belt at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Been training 8 to 10 years or something. How do I get my black belt? I keep turning up because that guy over there that's a black belt, he just keeps turning up. It's sort of like you're sort of benchmarking it. So it's everything.
No, I really appreciate that. A couple things. You're seeing me smile right now. I wish there's a way that y'all could hear my smile on the podcast. If I did though, I think it'd be really loud. The What's coming for me as you're saying this is one, I want to make sure we go back to that be more part because I'm hearing
Yeah.
some of this here. I'm hearing some of it show up. And two, it's like you're taking me through something right now that's really real. Like I'm experiencing this right now as an entrepreneur myself, where um like I've gone through places where it's like, oh, okay, things have gone really well. And there's other times where like I'll hear an entrepreneur come by and be like, and I wasn't sure how we're gonna make payroll, you know? And it had always seemed like a story there. And like I find myself at this point being like, oh, okay, what did they do? And I'm asking like as we're talking, like they got creative. The people who got their some people quit and let it stop them, and the other people got creative. They knocked on the doors, they made up different programs, whatever it is, and they brought that creativity out to the table, amongst other
Mm.
things. And so you'll find here, Zach, that like one of the things I like to do in our conversations is just keep it real between both of us. So if I ask you to keep it real, I'm gonna typically find a way to be like, all right, like
Yeah.
I gotta like not leave you hanging out there. Um, so you brought in some things that would make me want to go down to be more part. Right?
Yeah.
The fun part about this here is that with that outliers, a lot of us here already are not just more, but a lot. You know, like being like talk about being extra. I'm sure like when you were saying that, people are like, yes, 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 I'm all over that. Like the people call me extra all the time. You know, um, the thought of being one of the places I play with right now is like the supernatural and the and extraordinary. Um Supernatural to me is just like so something that like might seem really like you got incredible results. It's almost like how did that happen? It must have been like some supernatural thing. It's like, no, actually I was just being as me as possible and this was as natural as I could be. And so I got super results from it. Like that's it. Same thing with extraordinary. It's like, yeah, like I'm just being ordinary here, but like I'm just being extraordinary. I'm lean in even more into how ordinary I am, leaning into that so much more. So that it's like even here, y'all are gonna hear me like trying to get the word leading out or leaning. There we go. One more time, right? Stop. I'm not going to take it out because like I'm a human. Like this is it. This is the real deal. Like sometimes I get my
Real.
words flustered. Yeah. What you got,
Mm.
Zach? What you got?
No, just I don't know. What was coming to me was like, be real. When you're home alone or with your, a close partner or your family, you let your weirdness out. Like you can be a bit odd, you can be a bit funny, right? You can be a bit something. You can just let the guard down, take off the mask a little bit. We all have to put on a bit of a mask in society. Like we're talking about being extra before, right? And like there is this feeling, this like I have it still. It's like this pushback. It's like, oh, I don't want to, like it feels a bit funny. I don't want to step out, but the more you can sort of, like I'm sort of like this closed off body, but you step into this front body, this openness. You start in the home, you start bringing yourself out, you start being more, and you start just, yeah, just I don't know, it's being more everywhere in your life, and good stuff happens. People resonate, people connect, and you feel better about yourself, right? Like you, it's
I
okay to just do, to be. And I feel like there's this conditioning that we all get from young, and don't get me wrong, society does need to condition, the human animal to fit in somewhat, but you can't just do everything that comes to mind, but you can be as much of yourself and start making these own paths to sort of take that group of people that are following you, or you're catching up to them, or you're sort of joining in with them. Like you said before, there is a normal for you. The only way you can get that is by being you, right?
There's a couple of different things that are popping up for me as you say that. So one of them is like the idea of society as a construct, just like normal as a construct. It's like
Yeah.
there's elements of this where it's like all these things like the way we live our life now is very different than how they lived it 100 years ago
Mm.
and different from 100 years prior. So I'm open to like shifting society and being like I may not get the benefits right away, but
Mm.
I'm very open to that. uh
Ooh. So
yeah.
the idea of society shifting in today's day and age is interesting, right? Because it feels almost like there isn't one society. I remember when I grew up, I'm 36 now, like we all sort of watched the same shows, listened to the same sort of music. It was like very sort of funneled, and that had its negatives, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
nowadays it feels like everyone's in their own little echo chambers. So it's almost like society isn't really shifting. It's almost like it's splitting off or splintering, or you could pick a positive fractaling, you could pick a positive analogy to describe this, but it's like you can discover your own aspect of society, because it feels like there's not this sort of collective consciousness where everyone's involved. You look online at the online discourse, and a lot of it seems pretty toxic, because one echo chamber starts discovering another echo chamber. Pick any topic, and it's this
Mhm.
chaos online. Ooh,
Mhm.
I don't
So
know. Not
no,
sure
no,
of the solution to that.
let's play this a little bit here. Like outliers, like I always say, like I love to have conversations with my peers on this thing here because these are the conversations I wish I was having like in other ways. What when you bring that up, what it brings for me is a concept. I heard it back in my barbershop days. So not barbershop haircutting, but barbershop singing, 4-part harmony, and when I was going through, I was in my mid 20s singing in barbershop. We were in New York City, top 10 in the world, and and we was like just seeing dwindling numbers. They're like, where is everyone? There's a whole gap. There's like, people who are 60 plus or 50 plus, and then there's like a lot of younger kids coming in. Like, but where's like the midlife people coming in? And someone brought up this thing about like the cycles that humanity has, and like it's like the
Mm,
cycles. And I'll say humanity, but in this case, I'll use society to tie it back to our conversation, where it's like different, like the way that the society is kind of begets the next
of
version of
course.
society, and it just
Yeah.
kind of like leans itself in. So to right now, if I'm hearing you, we're like, oh, we're becoming a more fragmented society, which then like our children or our children's children will be like, hey, you know what, let's leave the fragmentation and come back to being whole. And then once we get whole again, the society's gonna be like, you know about this thing called fragmentation, and we'll keep playing that game. What you got?
To that point, that comes back to being real, right? Like I feel like
Mm.
a lot of the race, the gender, the diet, all of the politics, all of these sort of little boxes you put yourself in, right? Identity politics as a whole, it seems to be, and obviously there's causes and issues and all of that sort of stuff. That's not what I'm meaning, but it feels like if we can all just embody our own self and our own truth and connect as individuals, it's like you could put me into many of those different boxes, but I am me before I'm left or right wing. I am me before I'm this view on sexuality. I'm me before I'm insert religion here. You know what I mean? Like I'm me first. If we can sort of
Uh,
be ourselves first, and then we meet each other in this sort of human to human realness, and then we can calmly discuss our potential differences. It's like, okay, let's say I'm left wing and you're right wing, or vice. It doesn't matter, but we're coming to it as two humans before we're coming to it as opposing political parties or sexualities, or what, insert whatever you like there.
so let's stop it because like a lot of it is the like many different reasons why I do Outliers Edge overall. And what was the impetus that got me started with everything was a mission that was to bring together a truly inclusive and empowered world. And
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time thinking about this, Zach. I was like, how do we actually bring together like a truly inclusive world? What does true inclusive mean? What does it mean to be like truly empowered? You know? Yeah. Yeah. I've been
Good,
like
good.
I, Good.
Philosophers and authors have been trying to come up with a utopia for years, and there's always some problems, you know.
Yeah, well, this is look. I'm gonna throw my ring in the hat then, or is it my hat in the ring? I don't know, but I'm gonna join. I'm gonna join in this game here, and the thought that came to me is it actually drives everything that I do. The thought that came to me was that true inclusion needs to pass what I call the Martian test. And the Martian test would be if an alien landed on Earth tomorrow, like if we were truly an inclusive society, we would find a way to include that alien. Even though we have like we don't look anything alike, we don't share any history together, we don't may not even breathe the
Mm.
same like air. Like, what would it look like to be inclusive to that extent? Like, I try to take it as far out as I could. Go ahead. I have an answer
The
to that one, but go ahead.
yeah, the counter to that I've heard, and I've not gone down this path, so by all
Yeah,
means, throw it back at me.
please.
And I'm not sure who said it, but being fully inclusive suggests that you will include people who are intolerant or who want to take down the system. And if you
Yes.
include those people, then those people can corrupt from the inside.
Yep.
But now you've split into this us and them thing. So it's this,
Oh,
yeah.
it all like there's a separate part of that. So I'll like, um, which is and the counterintuitive truth that I believe, which is exclusion is a form of inclusion. Um, and it's like it's an interesting space depending on the purpose of it. Um, I'll go back to the Martian thing. I want to come down to
Hmm.
this part. The Martian thing for me came out to this thing where it's like, look, if it's possible to get to a place like if we were at true, let's even use the word utopian like inclusion, then anything would work, right? And then it becomes for me, I'm like, well, how would that work? And the way that the solution I found was like they would have nothing in common. There was zero in common other than being like a part of the same universe, right? So I guess the only thing that's in common that we would have. And what came to me was like, so we would need to celebrate the differences to be able to come in and be like, so what do you do on your planet? How do you like tell me about this? What technology do you have? So on and so forth. And look for the things that are different about us, the things that are not normal, and to like learn how do we come together around that. So that like if I was like my the utopian kind of like philosophical thing that strives that goes through everything that I do is around like how do we continue to find these differences in people and be and start the work of practicing what it's like to appreciate differences as opposed to like spending our time to find commonalities because once we there's an end that's involved with
Mm.
commonalities. There is no end involved with differences. You might have a twin and your twin
Mm.
is still different, you know? And yeah, what are your thoughts on
Mm.
that,
No,
man?
the sort of practical aspect would take a lot of work, obviously, but I
Hmm.
think from a lived experience perspective within our universe, because we can dream
Yeah,
about utopia all we like, and there'll be
yeah,
nitpicking things and all this sort of stuff, but the real value is to lean into the differences, like you said, and that's where the beauty lies. I want to know your truth. I want to know who you are. I don't want a mirror of myself. Do you know what I mean?
Right,
Like I want,
like really
yeah.
hear that though, right? Because you say this, and how many of us try and do the opposite, right? Going back even back
Mm.
to like the sales pitch, we're like, "Ooh, who do I need to be for you to like think that I like I'm mirroring you?" You know what I'm saying? Like it's interesting because like we say it, and it's good.
No, it's just that cliche thing. I don't know. I'm a bit skeptical in the sort of the coaching space and the
Yeah,
the the all the space that I'm in. Like
yeah,
like I just see so much fakeness, and you
yeah.
meet people in real life, and then you see their output online, and I'm like, oh, you're forcing something. You know, I don't care if you like me or not. I don't care if you want to work with me. I don't care if you buy my stuff or not. It doesn't, because it just means we're not meant to be with each other. We're not meant to work together. You're not meant to enjoy my stuff. Whatever. Who cares? To force it in any sense seems forced. It seems fake. It seems odd. And my goal with all of this is to, live a life personally where I can just have those connections where like we both come together professionally, where it's like I'm not hunting you. I'm not sort of like trying to like cram the square into the circle to like, yeah, like work with me. Like like no, like if you like what I'm doing here, reach out. If you don't, cool. Like no judgment, no stress, like whatever. Like find someone else. I don't care. But that's the way that I project, and I speak to I speak to coaches that sort of want to work with me, and they're like want me to do something. They're like, "What are you projecting?" And I'm like, "What sort of angle are you hitting?" And I'm like, me.
Yeah.
If you want me, you can get me. If you don't want me, great. I'm not trying to be a thing, a person, which is sort of, it's very hard to sort of pin down the ideal sort of reader client sort of stuff. So it does, don't get me wrong, this is a very sort of niche issue.
I don't know, but
But
like, keep going.
yeah, no, it's and look, it works for other people, but I guess I just can't. Maybe like the skeptic in me says I can't put on the act for long enough, and maybe
Yeah.
the non-skeptic, the sort of open-minded sort of person says maybe I don't know myself fully enough to know what sort of niche I fully sit in, if that makes sense.
Eh,
So,
I no, I no, like, I get you. I feel you here. Like people keep asking me like, "Who's my avatar? What's my niche?" I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"My
What's
niche
my
is
avatar?
me." What's
Yeah,
your
what's my
avatar?
avatar?
I'm like, "It's me." Like it's really simple. Like
Yeah.
I'm only like it is me, and all the nuances of it. And there may be times where I identify with different parts of me at certain points. Yes.
Yeah, but it can't be you because there is no you, right? And this is the nuance there. It's like it's me, but it's not fully me. It's someone that sees aspect, because it's the thing, like you find a coach, right? And you know, you've got a coach because you want something that they've got, you know, internally, externally. I go to my martial arts coach because he is one of the best that I can, you know, that I can access. You know, he won effectively the Olympics of the sport that I'm doing, right? That's why I'm going to see him. Not for the personality, not for the other stuff. Like that's the skill that I want. All those other things, the personality, the gym, the other, all that comes underneath it. So it's like, you know, like I want that aspect in myself. Same thing with any coach. It's like I want, you know, like we talk about ourselves being the avatar, but you know, there is no you other than you. So it's sort of like these, it's this hard sort of needle to thread. But you know, that's the game here,
No,
isn't it?
I think it is. I think there's a blessing and a curse in that, and outliers for us, you and this purpose here. Like I love this component of like be you, and there is no you. You know, and I think it kind of goes to that point of like you got to choose how to play this game. You know, you talk about be more, and if you don't have shirts that say be more, like it just really felt like something that was you and whatever that construct of you happens to be. But like
Get some merch happening. You think
I,
be more merch.
I think I'm serious about it in the sense of like there's some element of this that just like really like resonate because I don't it's challenging at the same time.
Mm.
You know, it's like it's a, both an invitation, but it's a challenge at the same time. Like, yo, man, be more. It's like, what? You don't think I'm enough? Like, there's an element of this that can be seen in many different ways, and I like things that like that can bite, but also be sweet at the same time. So that was what was coming up for me.
Mm.
Um, I lost where I was gonna go, like with that other with that other part here, but I think it all boils down, and we're gonna start wrapping up this conversation here. But like I, I'm getting what you're putting down, and I think that the components of this year. Oh, I know where I want to go with this. I'm gonna go, and I am gonna go there because I want to. Um, what I part of what I like about the be more is that uh, there's recently I've been drawn into a phrase of like do epic shit. Like that's it. And it's like how do you want to build your business, especially for us in like the help world, the people who are like in transformation of some sort. It's like go do epic shit and then come back and help other people do some variation of it to whatever level it is. And I hear when you talk about like your
Mm.
martial arts coach, you're like, he did something epic,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like I want a part of that epicness, whatever
Mm.
that is, whether it's on a local level, a larger level, or a fitness level, or whatever it is, like somewhere in that, I would love, like there's a part of me that wants some of that, you know
Yeah,
please.
the do epic shit and come back.
Yeah.
That's part of the issue that I have with some coaches. It's like they're not doing the epic shit. They're trying to teach you how to do the epic shit without doing it. It's like
Mm.
I'm the, you know, like the coach of coaches sort of thing.
Yeah.
The expert that's telling you how to do something that hasn't done it themselves. It's like
Yeah.
you wouldn't trust a financial advisor that isn't wealthy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just it's
Yeah.
like I want access to people that are doing it. But the problem is once they've done it, they're not necessarily wanting to share. Do you know what I mean? Like there's
Oh
the
yeah, I think
person.
yeah,
Mm,
you're talking a lot, like and like so I spend my time coaching as well, and like there's some people that I'm like there's the mentoring coach where it's like you've been to where I want to be and I want
mm,
to get that direct, like almost like in a direct path, right? So
mm,
you're like you're going to your martial arts coach for martial arts in the martial arts that he was able to like
Mm.
create like success in, right? Um, and I can also see like a version where like he plays a completely different game, but it's like
Mm.
the what it took to be the best in the world at XYZ can
Yeah, very
apply
true.
outside of this space, right? So
Yes, yes.
so there's an element of like of the story, the connection, the bridge there, but it
Mm.
all like I'm playing with this right now myself right now because I got into a place where like do epic shit really feels really true for me because um I think I just got bored, and I realized
Mm.
that like when I meet people, I'm not like speaking with that level of like, ah, you earlier you put your shoulders down, you put your chest out, you're like yeah, and it wasn't like bravado, but it was just like just um it's not self confidence. I'm trying to find the right word for it, but I just wasn't like bringing myself to that same
Embodied.
level. Yeah, but perhaps that's where we are, right? There was some element of that that just didn't feel like embodied and where it was, and
Mm.
I realized what it was like, oh, the things that I consider epic, I did a couple years ago, and like I'm not that person anymore. You know, like I want to be what's epic for a father of two who's done it, like what's that epic, and it's not epic globally like on some
Mm.
art like it's like but
No, yeah.
relative to who I am right now, what feels epic,
Mm.
and play that game first and then go
That
from there.
that like on that, like being epic as a father for me, like I'm on a doing all of this entrepreneurial, so like, creativity stuff, right? My son comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, come play trains with me." So the epic thing in that decision is to be able to sit down, put all of this stuff aside, and just play trains with him for a couple of hours. Like that is not no one's going to know about that other than me and my family. But that is an epic decision in that moment because it's, and it's not an easy necessarily decision to just put all of this sort of stuff aside. Like if like your brain's just like, let's do, let's do. I don't want to play trains, but then it's like, no, on a deeper level or a different level, I really do, and there's really
Yes.
this connection there. So that is the epic choice in that moment to like put down the thing that might get you recognized. Stop writing the book, doing the whatever. Play for an hour with your kid and don't touch the phone, don't do all this. It's like be present can be an epic decision. Just being there, turning up.
Well, Zach, I'm glad with the way this conversation went. You know, um, I think it's nice to end on the epicness of that we have here because
Yeah.
there's a reality to it. One of the things I'm taking away from this conversation, and afterwards, I'd like to hear something that you're taking away for yourself. But one of the things that I'm taking away is just like looking at things on the relative, right? What is normal? What is epic? Like so on and so forth, right? It's like there is no real construct other than what we create, and like to be able to look at it and say, hey, like being really present for my child when it's time
Mm,
when I choose to be there, like that's an epicness. And
mm,
like I have all these other amazing opportunities and I choose to be here.
mm,
How epic is that? Those kinds of like I'm really taking that in right now to just to be in this space of the relativeness and of the ability to create from that space. That's one of my takeaways
mm.
for today. Zach, what's one of yours? And this is when I ask these kind of insights, I'm asking about it for you, regardless of what like we'll talk about like a thing for the audience later on, but for I did it again, the audience for outliers later on. But what's one thing for you that feels like an insight or something that you're taking away from this?
I think it's just a reaffirmation of the need to be me and the need for everyone to be everyone and to just project that truth, hold the space, personal life, professional life, all of these lives, just however you turn up as yourself and allow people to turn up. And I suppose from there, it's a matter of dropping the judgments that come. What was the expression you used earlier? The acceptance, rejection. I can't remember. You said it like real, it was real like sort of succinct
I,
way of. Oh yeah.
yeah, I like you might have to go back
Oh.
and rewind it right now. Yeah.
Rejection, except it comes from, like just like our deep level of acceptance comes from like our differences, accepting the differences, coming together on that space and knowing, okay, like let's just sort of strip away the masks and just be here as ourselves.
Well, Zach, I appreciate you. Now I want to go back and listen to it. I'm like, ooh, I said something profound. Let me go, let me go get that.
Let's
Um,
find it, and that's your catchphrase
that's it, right? That's
for your
it.
shirt.
For the rest of this year, y'all gonna be hearing me saying that. I'm like, I'm saying this on purpose now. Um, so Zach, let's do this here. So we each shared our own insight. Let me give you an opportunity to, if there's anything that you would want any outlier listening to this to walk away with. What's one thing that you want them to walk away with, and then we'll make sure they know how to stay connected with you.
Well, it's got to be more, right? The new shirt line.
I'm like, let me know, like I will buy it. I will have it like brought over to the US. Like I like it feels. Yeah, at least for me, I'm like, oh, and especially with the do epic shit, there's a part of me that's been looking for what's a B corollary. Like there's an external
Mm.
do action element, but what's the
Ooh,
what's the B corollary? So like you might see me like
do
say
and
it as
be.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, like sort of do this, be this. Mm,
Yeah, there's something
mm,
in there because sometimes we lose ourselves as we just get into the external. We create the
mm.
books, we write the things, we do the podcast, and then you look at yourself and you're like, I don't even know who I've been being. You know, I've been doing the things, but is that actually even epic for me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I feel you. I feel you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, Zach, how do people stay in contact with you? How do they not even stay in contact? That's not enough. That feels like the small talk of relationships. How do people go deeper into the journey with you, Zach?
For those that are interested, two places. My website, zachary-phillips.com, and I'm everywhere on social media at Zach P. Phillips. And just check me out, hit me up, have a look. There's a bunch of stuff to explore. There's rabbit holes and different things, and yeah, let's connect.
You also mentioned that you do like meditation and things
Yeah.
and places. I found that to be really interesting. I think that outliers
Yeah.
there would love to get in there. Can I talk about that?
On
Or what?
Insight Timer. Insight Timer is a meditation app, and there I share a bunch of different, like I've got hundreds of free tracks and a bunch of premium courses that you sign up to their membership, and you can take them all as a part of that. But that's where a lot of people are getting a lot of benefit from what I'm doing, and it's effectively me just sharing my insights, my thoughts, my sort of from the muse and out through the mouth on a variety of different topics and expressions and sort of things. So it's meditations and wisdom and sort of deep sort of contemplation sort of work on that space too.
All right, well, lovely. Thank you for continuing to show up, Zach. Thank you for continuing to uh yeah, I think it's really the showing up here. Like I feel like you're making a point to do that. Is there anything else you'd like to say? I have one last question for you, otherwise.
No, I just want to say thank you for holding space and having this community that you're growing, fostering, developing, because these sort of conversations matter. And if just one person is like, okay, other people have, this guy Zach has gone through XYZ stuff. I've done something similar. I'm struggling in this sense. I've been there, or I want to thrive in the same way. That idea of using there is a way through. People are doing something similar. I can get through that. That's sort of the takeaway, I guess.
Lovely, lovely. And Zach, we'll end here with what I call the time capsule question. And this is a
Oof.
question for yourself, right? This is a message that you would want to leave for your future self, let's say 10 years from now, right? In 10 years, a lot of things could change in 10 years. So what's a message of something you know to be true right now that you want to remind yourself of 10 years later?
I guess like I am safe is coming up. I'm safe. It's okay. The reality of my life now and most of my life is one of objective safety, but the internal, issues make it seem like it's not. It's like, no, like I was safe, I am safe, and I will be safe.
And with that, we are complete. Zach, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for jumping into and dancing in this conversation with me. It's been fun. I haven't been able to play out some of these thoughts or like in a bit. So thank you for playing in the practical, the philosophical, like and really bringing all of your range or some like let's not say all of your range, but a good deal of range to this conversation here. I wish you all the best, and I'm really grateful for you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time.